What's up? We've got another draft review. Quick little draft. This is for the off season of LCD. This is finally the the almost any ability Ubers League. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We made a tier list for this many months ago, and I was not sure if it was ever going to happen, but here we are. We have a little quick off season tour. It's pretty short. We're doing pools, so I'm going to pool of 3 people. I think it's best 1 or 2 advance, and then you move into like a playoff bracket or something like that. But I finally got to draft some Ubers again. It's been a long time. So this is again almost any ability, standard stuff. Some things are banned, and only kind of general bans from last season is Poison Heal's banned, I think, and Speed Boost is also banned because that shit is busted. So I was right middle of the road of the draft. I think I was like 6 or 7 out of 11 people. It was an odd number, but yeah, so I got my first pick, and I knew what I wanted to pick pretty much right from the start. It was even costed a couple points lower, but I brought it up and like, hey, we shouldn't let this thing be as cheap as it is, and then people agreed, and I still picked it at round 1 anyways, because it's just an absolute goat, and it's like, I mean, if you look at the Uber's viabilities rankings for the last several generations, this thing is like, if not the top, right at the very top, and it is the coolest version, like, box mascot of all time, Yveltal. This thing is so sick. It has incredible, I mean, everything here has incredible stats, so I probably don't even need to bring that up, but Yveltal does a lot of things that you want to have done. In almost any ability, as we know, Dark type is incredibly important, because size spam is a very effective strategy if there's not a Dark type to stand in the way, and Yveltal is a Dark type. It's got the great dark flying typing you've seen in Mandibuzz, with probably more bulk, honestly. I haven't run the numbers, but I'd imagine it's more bulk. It has a bonkers HP of 126 with defenses that are both almost at 100, so it's incredibly bulky. Even if it's not as bulky as Mandibuzz. What it has over Mandibuzz is that speed and the mixed attacking potential. So while a Mandibuzz could come in, kind of do like your unaware defog stuff, the Yveltal can do that perfectly well, better than Mandibuzz due to the speed and bulk, but it also has the ability to just go full out offensive. So as nice as unaware Yveltal with foul play is, totally viable, could bring that. It also can just go to town with Triage Oblivion Wing, right? There's not many things that resist flying and dark together. I don't think there's a single type that resists both of those. And well, an 80 base power move off of 131 attack stat. Give it a choice specs or maybe tinted lens, and you're going to be dealing monstrous damage and healing for ridiculous amounts as well, and just being incredibly difficult to take down. One notable weakness that Yveltal does have is that it is weak to I believe 3 of the 4 of the 8 abilities. So you see here Galvanize, Refrigerate, Pixelate. The only one it doesn't have is the flying one, which, you know, 3 out of 4 could be worse. But that's a pretty big thing to keep an eye out for. So any team with an extreme speeder, I need to be very cautious of, play around that. But Yveltal has the bulk to take 1 hit like that, I would imagine, unless it's like banded with stab or something like that. But overall, Yveltal incredibly bulky, incredibly strong, just does a lot of things really well, and it has the move slot capacity where it can do the things it wants to do, like you can slap Defog, Foul Play, Oblivion Wing, +1 on a set every week, and you'll be totally happy with that. Even gets U-turn for pivoting, so even better stuff than that. Alright, moving on. Next pick, I have another staple, Dialga. We have the Master of Resistances here. That is a ridiculous amount of types that cannot deal good damage to me. Only 2 weaknesses with ground and fighting. Yveltal obviously immune to ground, and fighting is, well, we'll take care of that later down the road. Dialga is a absolute nuke. 150 special attack is huge, with its 2 types being boosted by the Steelworker and Dragon's Maw. So if I'm boosted by that, unless you're like immune or quad resist, you're going down with the choice specs. Dialga also has the ability to set rocks for me, which is nice. It has a nice T-Wave support option as well. Dialga is bulky enough to where it can be a support mon if it wants to be. It can be a great support mon while also still being scary, because even an uninvested 150 special attack is bananas. So I mean, slap that thing with, you got Magic Guard, so I can come in, set rocks, set Toxic without fear of being bounced back at me, and then I can just shoot off Steel Beams from Magic Guard, so lots of options there. I really do like Dialga. It's kind of the incredibly crowded 90 speed tier that we see a lot of Ubers at. That's one good thing about Yveltal. It is 99, so that is a nice cutoff there. But Dialga, what really goes for it is just that power, the bulk, and the typing. It may not have this incredibly diverse move pool like Yveltal has, but it has the bulk to come in, tank hits, and even Regenerator Dialga with max investment into defenses could be an incredible option. One thing I do want to note is that it is Steel type that is vulnerable to trapping, and running a Shed Shell on Dialga every week would be really, really, really depressing. So I do think there are ways around having to run Shed Shell on this mon. It's not so much like a defensive piece that I need this thing to take hits for me like Skarmory was on my last season, where I did need to run the Shed Shell almost every single week but the last. But I think Dialga has the power, and with the only two weaknesses and its bulk that it has, it's not going to be one-hit KO'd from a move that's like a fighting or ground move that's not stab. So you'll see the magnet pull coming in, and honestly, like a Specs Draco could probably deal with most of those things anyway, unless you're like a fairy ground type. Doesn't exist. Fairy fighting type, I don't think that exists. So yeah, you better make your call right and not get one shot by Draco Meteor if you're trying to trap Dialga in. Or maybe I do run Shed Shell and you just have a bad time earthquaking my Yveltal instead. Okay, next pick. I was gonna pick Arceus Poison, but I had misread the rules and thought, oh, it can't use any fun abilities, so I'm not gonna do that. And then Goose and Steering picked it right before me. Like, oh shit, I could have done that. So I wanted to pick a fun Arceus. Arceus Ice. Awful defensive typing, but it does give me a nice ice resist for Yveltal, so that's a good little niche use of it there. But obviously it's Arceus. If you can run Arceus in a league, you should be drafting Arceus. Even Arceus Bug is probably a fine pick. But Arceus Ice, what does it do? It Refrigerate E-speeds you. It is it's more deadly than Extreme Killer Arceus. Obviously you can't run Banded, you can't run Life Orb, you gotta run the Icicle Plate with the way the rules are here. But honestly, with the boost from Refrigerate plus the Icicle Plate, you're going to be doing more damage than and also the fact that Ice is an amazing type, you're going to be doing more damage than your Extreme Killer Arceus would be anyways. So it is just an absolute monster of a threat. It can be a breaker mid-game, or it can be a late-game cleaner with E-speed, or it can do both, because guess what? I have 120 in every stat. That is amazing. It also has all this other good support options down here. It could be my rocker, but why would I be using Arceus Ice for anything defensively? This is an offensive cannon through and through, and I want to be able to put it in the best position to take advantage of that. So I want to have ways to deal with steel types, water types, ice types, and fire, which I think is the only thing that resists ice. So let's see if I was able to do that. Where's my fucking list of picks? I think my next pick was... Oh, there we go. Yeah, so my next pick was Zamazenta. Regular Zamazenta. Wait, is that the right one? Okay, yeah, so that is the right one. It's not the steel type one. It's the one without the big shield. And I like that one because it's 138 base speed, which is so fast. What do you do? How do you speed this thing? And I really like it because, like I said, trying to find things that can break Arceus's counters. And this takes care of the steel and the ice types in one blow. So we have that 130 attack stat. This thing has fucking the worst move pool of any mon I've ever seen. I picked it when I drafted it because I figured it would get some good stuff. It does not. It gets close combat, and that's about it. So, yeah, get ready to get close combated by this. I hope you have a ghost type that can deal with Yveltal. That's really all I can say about Zamazenta. It does have the bulk. 115, 92 was good. The speed and power is just really where it's at. This mon is such a absolute, just blazing fast threat, where if it has a choice band with Tinted Lens, or maybe choice band plus Intrepid Sword, an ability it wishes it had normally, it got the shitty one. It got the one that boosts defense without even body press for stab, which is just a mystery nobody will ever be able to solve why that is. But it can pretend it's the better one by running a Intrepid Sword on the fighting type one, which honestly well, it's probably worse than Fairy, but fighting is an amazing attacking type as well. So pretending it's Zacian isn't really saying it too bad if you're almost Zacian, right? That thing is good enough to get banned from Ubers. So yeah, Zamazenta is going to be putting in work for me. I guarantee it, hopefully. Also, I'm realizing, going back in things, and I picked my Mons out of order. Okay, so these two were swapped. It was Zamazenta, then Arceus Ice. So that little story I told about wanting to cover my weaknesses was a lie, but I found out that it happened to work out well, so it's a story I tell myself. My next pick, I wanted something to kind of tie these Mons together and help with some of my weaknesses here, namely Fairy. That's the one I was really concerned about. Such a good type, and even though Fairy Arceus is banned, there's lots of other scary things like Zacian, so I went with Toxapex, the most annoying Mon ever to be created. So, what does this thing do? You know what Toxapex does. It knocks off your item, it burns you, it sets up T-spikes, and then it recovers. So, Toxapex can essentially do the same thing it does in regular singles in this format, but it can do it even better because it likes to run Prankster. And Prankster Haze is a great way of dealing with setup sweepers. Haze goes through Substitute, unlike Clear Smog, so don't have to worry about that. It'll get boosted by Prankster priority, so pretty much, unless you're setting up for an E-speed, then Toxapex is going to shut you down. It also just has the incredible bulk to be the pivot that I need it to be, and slap this thing with a Rocky Helmet, and you start to punish U-turns because of that nice resist you have there. Additionally, flip turns as well if you run into a flip turn Mon. It does have this crippling electric weakness, but there's an ability for that called Volt Absorb. So running Volt Absorb on Toxapex is a great option. Leaves you only weak to ground and psychic. Obviously, psychic is a big issue, but hey, if you're only weak to ground and psychic, you know who can help you out with that? Yveltal. And you know what weaknesses Yveltal has that Toxapex helps out with? Almost all of them, except for Rock. So, Toxapex is a very, very good team player, and I think it's. I didn't want to pick lower tier Mons that were offensively based because in a format with Ubers, I really don't think you can afford to spend points on cheap Mons that try to be offensive. I think. So if you were to bring something like, what's like a cheaper Mon? If you were to try to bring something like, I don't know, like Pangoro, a good cheap low tier Mon, or maybe Serena, a good cheap low tier Mon that has the power, and with almost any ability you can make it put in some work. I don't think those Mons are honestly good enough to be run in this format with Ubers, but I think if you can find a lower point Mon that has the defensive utility, which, I mean, when you look at the Ubers viability rankings from all the generations in the past, you almost never see like a regular Mon up there for offensive potential, but you'll see regular Mons up there for defensive potential all the time. Ferrothorn, regular Uber staple. Quagsire even, a unaware user, or a Kyogre blocker. All these kind of Mons that see usage in Ubers are very rarely offensively focused normal Mons, but defensively focused normal Mons can play a pretty big role in the Ubers tier. Especially when you have a good typing like this. So Toxapex, I think, is really going to put in work. Toxic Spikes, again, are incredibly valuable in this format. Not many things up here are Poison type because Psychic and E-Force just blast everything away. And we don't have... Only one team has Poison Arceus. And we don't have... what was I going to say? We don't have Steel Arceus, so we don't have to worry about that. And I just really think Toxic Spikes are going to put in a lot of work here. Oh, we don't have Eternatus. That's the other thing I was thinking about. We banned Eternatus because that thing is... bonkers. So, moving right along, my next pick was, oh yeah, a good friend, Tapu Koko. My MVP, I think, for the last season of LCD. I just got knocked out in quarters by steering. I played very poorly, and I assumed that Infernape was not Choice Scarf, even though it was. And looking back on it, I thought it wasn't Choice Scarf because it switched out against Persian. But I thought that I had scared him away with bluffing a Scarf Persian, but I think what he had assumed was that I was Sash Persian, which was correct, and in that case switching out was also the right choice. But I didn't run that full thought process all the way to the end when I was playing the game, and it sealed the deal. I'm not saying I would have won if I hadn't lost Nihilego right there, but it definitely did not definitely eliminated any hope of winning from there. So Tapu Koko, really, really good. Amazing fast fairy type, strong enough to get the job done. And it's that speed that really makes the difference here. If I have a good kind of blanket pivot like Toxapex, I can get these mons in repeatedly, even if they're not quite as bulky as some of these big boys up here. I can get in something like Zamazenta or a Tapu Koko by forcing in a strong mon out and then allowing these two to come in on the double. So we know what Tapu Koko does: Pixelate, Magic Guard, fun stuff like that, and it puts in a lot of work, and it can even do so in this tier, I think. If I'm wrong, then we'll find out very shortly. Next thing I picked was another defensive piece that I think also has incredible utility. Corviknight, part of the team I just lost to. I think Corviknight is the best steel flying type in almost any ability. Like, full stop. Celestial is good. Corviknight is great. Skarmory is okay. Corviknight is fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this. It's another untrappable steel type thanks to U-turn, which is something that I wish Dialga had. Even like Baton Pass would be nice, but nope, Dialga is victim to Magnet Pull. But Corviknight is not. It is got that nice U-turn pivoting ability with the amazing defensive profile that is a steel and flying type. Only 2 weaknesses, both of which have abilities that I can remove the weaknesses from. Another thing we're doing in this format is only 1 ability per team. So if I do run Volt Absorb somewhere else, Yveltal or Toxapex maybe, I couldn't run it here, but I could run Motor Drive or something, because there's plenty of abilities that make you immune to electric. So having electric weaknesses is not really the worst thing in the world, because look, I have 3 weaknesses right here. We've got Lightning Rod, Volt Absorb, Motor Drive. Boom, 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 all covered. So yeah, Corviknight's really, really good. It is as bulky as Skarmory because of the way its HP and defense stats are, but it's incredibly bulky on the special defense side with just a better move pool in general. Doesn't get rocks or spikes, but that's fine when you have the pivoting ability and you still have the defogging potential. And just the added bulk goes a long way. So I really think Corviknight is... I wish I'd been able to get it last season, but man, I'm excited to use this mon. Only have a couple picks left. I think up next we have... oh, yes. We have another friend from the past. We have Landorus. So this is regular Landorus. I wanted this one because it's faster than Landorus Therian. Because Landorus Therian is right at that 91 speed tier. And I want to outspeed base 100s and base 90s more reliably. So I've got regular Landorus. It's also just as bulky as Landorus Therian, which is something I hadn't actually noticed before. I thought Lando T had better defenses, but just the Intimidate that makes it seem that way. But I like it Lando I, faster U-turn, and I have better special attacks, so I can go mixed and do whatever I want with that. It's really just a great typing, honestly. Ground flying is incredible. Only 2 weaknesses, one of which I can make myself immune to. The other which I actually have Arceus Ice for the Ice switch-in. So my my Ice weaknesses are going a long way in giving Arceus some defensive utility. But overall, Landorus is a great Pokemon. Therian or regular are both incredible. I didn't want to bunch up so much around 90 because I figure a lot of teams would be like that. And I believe... hold up, let me actually check this real quick so I'm not lying. Hold up. I was wrong. It's 104 base speed. You need to outspeed 90s with a neutral nature, which sucks. So who knows? Maybe Landorus won't be long for this world. But regardless, strong, versatile, great move pool. What else could you want? Coming down to the last picks here, I went with a cheapo mon. I wanted Meesprit. Meesprit's really good. It's pretty much just discount. Well, it's discount Azelf in this format. I wanted an expanding Enforcer, and Meesprit was the cheapest one left that I thought was any good. So I picked it. It also has some good team support options. Oh, I thought I guess it's Healing Wish. Yeah, so it has Healing Wish, which is honestly incredible because I'm going to want to put a lot of emphasis on my big breakers like Arceus, Dialga, Zamazenta, and if I can even send a Meesprit just to heal them up to full and kill myself right away, I'll do that. I think that's absolutely worth a slot to have a second shot with your Arceus or your Dialga. So, Meesprit, you have to watch out for Expanding Force, or maybe it comes in and gives a free switch to one of my super powerful mons and brings them back at full health. So, yeah, super threatening, even if it doesn't do a single attack. Just the fact that it can revive something is incredible. But it can also just Expanding Force you into a 6-0. And you can't discount it because it's not like our shitty fighting psychic type, like that it has Expanding Force on paper, but in reality it's never going to show up. But it has decent defenses. 80 is okay. With a Scarf, I can outspeed most things. So you gotta watch out. Expanding Force does a lot of damage, and Meesprit is just strong enough to make it work. And my last pick was Illumise. It cost 1 point, which is very undercosted. I know how good Illumise is from the past. If you max out its bulk investment, you can live a couple hits. And honestly, this thing is essentially just a a filler pick. I don't think I'll ever bring Illumise. Everything it does is done better by Misprit for the most part, but it's got the U-turn. It's got the regular wish. So if I want to do prankster wish stuff without killing myself, I can bring Illumise. It's defog as well, but honestly, this is kind of just like my I wanted to spend my points up here rather than down here. So yeah, that's how the draft went. Super excited to play these games. I am in the process of team building, but it's been a fucking crazy week. Anyways, yeah, that's the new squad. Hopefully I win and get to move on from my first pool, because I want to play more than 2 games with this team. This team looks sick. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.